Hello, thanks for joining us on Plus TV Africa. My name is Felicity Ezewige. President Muhammadu Buhari has returned to Nigeria's capital Abuja after 10 working days holiday in London. The president arrived at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, at about 6:38 p.m. yesterday. On his arrival, the president wrote a letter to the two arms of the legislature, the Senate and the House of Representatives, informing them of his return and resumption of his duties as president and commander-in-chief upon the completion of his leave. Former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo and Goodluck Jonathan on Saturday mourned the late Kofi Annan. Annan, who was a former Secretary General of the United Nations, died on Saturday at the age of 80 in a Swiss hospital. Former President Olusegun describes him as a global statesman who dedicated his life to equity, justice, stability, security, human rights, and other virtues that promote world peace. Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, on his part, said he was a renowned icon of peace and a great son of Africa. In separate statements, they both highlighted the positive impact he had on international relations and his extensive reforms that reinvigorated the UN systems. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has just declared the candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), Honorable Garba Ajiya, winner of Saturday's by-election into Tankum 1 state constituency. The returning officer for the election, Dr. Ayuba Daniel, announced this, saying that out of 73,183 voters registered in the constituency, only 16,671 voters accredited and voted. Taraba State Resident Electoral Commissioner Buba Abba Yusuf, who described the election as a successful and peaceful one. However, the State Secretary of the All Progressive Congress, Pastor Stephen Otaniel, said APC was intimidated in the election, which he said was marred by ballot box snatching and vote buying. Rivers State is in the news as the All Progressive Congress is accusing the People's Democratic Party of sponsoring the violence that marred weekend's conduct of a by-election into the Port Harcourt State Constituency 3 of Rivers State. APC acting spokesman Yekini Nabena, who made the allegation on Sunday in Abuja, applauded the Rivers State electorate for bravely defending their votes despite the violence and snatching of electoral materials perpetrated by the PDP. He recalled that only last Tuesday, the PDP, speaking through its national spokesman, Kola Ologbodiya, had vowed to deploy all means, schemes, shenanigans in all ramification and magnitude to rig all coming election. The PDP has, however, denied rigging the election but accused the APC of sponsoring violence in the election. Meanwhile, the electoral umpire INEC has suspended the by-election. And on to Imo State now, where we hear that the state chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Daniel Nwafo, says party members would determine the party's candidate for the governorship election next year. The chairman said the state governor, Rochaso Okorocha, lacks the power to determine the governorship candidate of the party for the 2019 general election. Mr. Nwafo said while the party recognized the governor as the leader of the party in the state, but his choice of his chief of staff and son-in-law, Uche Nwosu, as his preferred successor would not affect the credibility of the party's primary. He said the party was working hard to secure APC's victory in all the elections in the state, including the re-election of the president. Following the declaration from the federal government of Tuesday, August 21st and Wednesday, August 22nd as public holidays to celebrate the 2018 Eid al-Kabir, the Zamfara Police Command has deployed 1,200 policemen across the state to provide security during the celebrations. The public relations officer of the command, SP Muhammad Shehu, in a statement in Gusau on Sunday, said that the deployment was aimed at ensuring the effective provision of security before, during, and after the celebration. He said policemen were deployed to cover all the parade grounds, shopping malls, and recreational centers across the state. News rich in Plus TV Africa shows the traffic along Lagos-Ibadan Expressway is seriously jammed at the moment. The traffic starts from the old toll gate all the way to Ibafo and as far as the eye can see. Drivers are seen to be driving against traffic. away from that. Preliminary investigation at the Jabi collapse site in Abuja suspects foul play by the building contractor. Investigators say visual evidence on the ground, which needs to be analyzed in the lab, is disturbing. The National Emergency Agency, NEMA, says 7 persons were affected by the collapse of the 4-story structure. 5 rescued, 1 critically injured, and 1 confirmed dead. Our correspondent Amadine Uyi tells us more.
Debris at the collapse site of the 4-story building at Jabi in Abuja. Rescue workers, security personnel, and onlookers remain on ground in case of the unexpected. An eyewitness recounts her experience on the day of the collapse.
We are in the shop. We now heard a sound, a loud sound. We thought it was a car that got as a big car. So before we could turn, we now saw the house, the building now broke down. So the dust was just everywhere. Dust just stand up everywhere.
The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, says 7 persons were involved in the building collapse. The agency says 5 were rescued alive, 1 critically injured, and 1 was confirmed dead. NEMA insists the figures of those involved in the collapse cannot be disputed.
Professionals were deployed here. They thoroughly combed the whole site, and they could not find any other than what they were able to get. So I think when a professional speaks, we should respect their opinion. So to the best of my understanding, I cannot know better than the professionals.
One of the acquaintances of the person confirmed dead says he misses his friend.
I go miss Bashir because Bashir is my friend. He's my tight friend. This guy don't have any problem. He's very simple man. So I trust this guy. Some people trust him. He's not a bad man. So I pray to God, may God help Bashir.
Officials of the Standards Organization of Nigeria were seen carrying out investigation on the collapse site.
I've looked at the iron rods, we've looked at the columns, the sizes, and then the space before the syrups.
They spoke to Plus TV Africa saying preliminary investigation suspects sharp practices.
The aggregate used in sizes at variance with what we expected, and the arrangement of the links, so it's questionable. And then the bars, the sizes of the bars where they're supposed to use 25 or 4. We're seeing some places where they use 3 as against 4. And then the 4th one is about 16 mm. From me, it's a corruption. If you are not following the specification, according to the drawings, according to the design, it's a pure corruption, which must be discouraged.
I observed that even the concrete, you can easily break it with hand, which means the mix is not exactly accurate. That is a visual observation. Secondly, I don't know if they have concrete cube test. Before any construction, you need your cube cross test. You need your slump test. You understand? Which I don't think is available.
Amadine Uyi, Plus TV Africa.
We sure hope something will be done about this recurrent building collapse. Moving on to other stories now. 313 aid workers from 22 countries worldwide lost their lives in the course of their duties in the 2017 alone. This was disclosed as humanitarian workers took to the streets of Abuja to mark the World Humanitarian Day. The work shows workers from both local and international aid agencies help raise awareness on the plight of humanitarian workers worldwide. They say there have been increasing attacks on the workers in the last few years, a situation they all agree is worrisome. The 2018 World Humanitarian Day is expected to be marked today, August the 19th. With the election upon us, we have seen many politicians vying for different positions. Women in Nigeria have unfortunately not seen a rise in that aspect. Is it the glass ceiling syndrome, or society isn't just yet prepared for that shift? Plus TV Africa's Amaka Okoye is at a women forum which focuses on governance and files in this report.
The 2019 elections draw near. The political space is charged with politicians, both old and new, seeking political positions. But what is yet not common is the ratio of women to men competing for political positions. African Women in Governance is a group championing the cause of women to seek political positions and aspire more.
We have a life skills development where we teach women critical skills. That's where the mentorship program actually comes up, the African Women in Governance. Because we found out that empowerment was not enough. Economic empowerment was not enough. Women need to be able to take decisions in every aspect of their life. We want to encourage women to be fully participatory in governance in the country and Africa. They should take part, they should participate, not just by voting, but by contesting for electoral positions.
The Beijing Platform for Action, prescribed by the International Women's Conference in 1985, affirms that every country should aim for at least 35% of women representation in politics. But sadly, Nigeria has not achieved 5% in that aspect. It means a lot still needs to be done to give women more room for participation in politics. It does appear that a huge and overwhelming representation of women at most political rallies has not transformed to increased opportunities for women to contest elections.
Now, what has been hampering women in our climb? Culture. That's number one. Then number two, the ability of the men folk to recognize that it's a changed world and that we have as more competent men and women. The only thing, again, that women have not got is opportunities.
Nigeria has recorded the worst performance in terms of women participation in politics and electoral processes. According to the Global Gender Gap Index data of World Economic Forum, the country was ranked 135th out of 144 countries. The index measures the gap between men and women at the highest level of political decision-making through the ratio of women to men in ministerial and parliamentary positions.
Personally, I think politics in Nigeria is not structured. In a country like Nigeria, women will struggle when it gets to politics.
As the country approaches elections in 2019, women are hoping that the government tackles all the obstacles on their path to allow for more women in both elective and appointive positions. Amaka Okoye, Plus TV Africa.
We'll take a quick break now. Stay tuned for more news when we return. Still on the death of the former UN chief Kofi Annan, Ghana has declared a week-long mourning period for him. Ghana's president, Nana Akufo-Addo, in a statement on Saturday, described Annan as a consummate diplomat and said he was deeply saddened by the news of his death. The president directed that the country's flag be flown at half-mast across the country and in all of Ghana's diplomatic missions across the world, starting from Monday for a week. According to him, Annan brought considerable recognition to Ghana by his position and through his conduct and comportment in the global arena. Cyprus has handed over to Cairo an Egyptian man who hijacked an airliner to the island in 2016 using a fake explosive belt, Egypt's state prosecutor said on Saturday, after a court ruling cleared the way for his extradition. The prosecutor said in a statement that Saif ad-Din Mustafa was handed over to an Egyptian Interpol team after Cairo provided assurance that he would face legal proceedings that conform to international standards. Madagascar's president, Henry Rajaonarimampianina, will seek re-election in the November poll. He made the announcement on Friday at a hotel in the capital, Antananarivo, flanked by his family members. Ruling party HVM leaders and supporters were also present. The president also filed his bid with the High Constitutional Court thereafter. He said he will build on his Fisandratana 2013, meaning emergence and renaissance, during his second term if re-elected. When we return, we'll bring you the latest development on the UK Parliament crash, yet another earthquake in Lombok, and more. Stay with us. 29-year-old Saleh Carter from Birmingham has been charged with attempted murder after he crashed his car into the House of Parliament. The UK national, originally from Sudan, is alleged to have swerved his car into cyclists and pedestrians on August 14. A spokesperson for the Met Police says the case is being treated as terrorism due to the location, methodology and alleged targeting of civilians and police officers. The accused is to appear in custody at Westminster Magistrate Court on Monday, August the 20th. The Indonesian island of Lombok has been shaken by another strong earthquake with a measured 6.3 magnitude after weeks of tremors that have killed more than 476 people. Sunday's quake caused landslides, but it is not known if there are any casualties. Residents said the tremor was felt strongly to the east of the island and sent people running out onto the streets. The island has since July 29 been rocked by hundreds of quakes and tremors. Iranian Defense Minister Amir Hatami says the country will this week unveil a new jet fighter and upgrade its missile defenses to meet threats from Israel and the US. The minister said the new fighter jet will fly on National Defense Industry Day, which falls on Wednesday. Mr. Hatami said the defense program was motivated by memories of the missile attacks Iran suffered during its 8-year war with Iraq in the 1918s. The defense minister dismissed the idea of an Arab NATO, an old concept which he said resurfaced as part of the game of creating discord by Washington. Up next is our business report. Stay with us. In a bid to boost bilateral ties between Nigeria and China, the Chinese government has assured Nigerians of its determination to expand its investment in the country. Zhou Pingjiang, ambassador of the People's Republic of China to Nigeria, said this in Abuja at the weekend during the Forum of China-Nigeria Production Capacity and Investment Cooperation. The Chinese government is also set to make available about $100 billion during the Beijing summit, from which Nigeria and other African countries can draw resources to improve their infrastructure and boost trade. According to Zhou, some of China's investment in Nigeria includes the Abuja-Kaduna Railway, Abuja Rail Mass Transit Project, and Lagos-Ibadan Railway, among others. It is no longer business as usual as more Nigerian women are taking initiative, pioneering new lines of business and pushing boundaries. A new crop of female business leaders are rising to the zenith of their careers by dint of hard work, resilience and determination, which in most climes are peculiar to the Mo folks.
Societies, women are often overlooked in terms of leading positions and participation in activities generally perceived as manly. At the 2018 Boss Lady Conference, top female players in the business world share insights on how they broke barriers in their various fields of engagement to challenge women to step up from their traditional supporting roles to leading positions.
There's infrastructural issues. There are also issues around regulation and things like that, government regulation, policy, tax, for instance, things like that as well. But I think the biggest issue is really being able to navigate the system.
Nigeria is the leading economy in Africa, but more often than not, women are not totally involved in the business revolution.
Women bring in those values, they bring in their intuition into the businesses they do.
The leading keynote speaker at Miss America 2004, Erica Dunlap, and other speakers in their separate comments agree that women can deal differently in business environments.
It's important to be ambitious because, in my view, it shows that a man has even more value when his wife, as it says in Proverbs 31, a woman of high value and high calling, she goes out and she makes sure that her family is taken care of. She is constantly focused on what she's bringing in and not just what she's creating at home, but also what she's bringing to the table and how she's making the home a more noble place.
As a person, if you go into a business or an industry and it's not working, it doesn't mean you have to jump out of it. At least you need to give it time and you need to understand what you're not doing right, and you need to look at people who's done it and gotten it right and what they did differently.
And you can only do this by joining global communities. And this way, you know, when people like what Ruth Kadiri said inside, when people come and approach you to do things, and what Dr. Olakunrin said, you can always say no. You can decide for yourself that you're not going to do it. You're not going to bend your values because you know who you are.
For organizers and participants at the event, it was a worthwhile experience.
When you meet one-on-one with the women you've been looking up to who have already made it, the established women, and you think they did magic, they had to do some magic to get to the point of accomplishment. But when you meet them here and hear them speak, talk about their struggles coming up and growing to where they are today, you then discover that they are just as ordinary as you.
It's really a fantastic event. Yeah, I got free money, $100, and I learned how to manage my time. Don't ask for permission.
And I'm so happy and excited I'm here.
Oh, the experience has been very, very nice. I'm very happy to be here.
It's been amazing. I've learned so much from people.
Ife Arona for Plus TV Africa.
Still ahead on Plus TV News, it's all roundup on entertainment news. Stay with us. On Sunday morning, the Oyo State government demolished Yinka Ayefele's 800 million music house on Sunday in Ibadan. Last week, the state government issued a demolition notice to the gospel musician. It described the demolition as politically motivated. Hip-hop star Linda Nkeze, popularly known as Pro Kid, has been laid to rest in West Park Cemetery in Johannesburg, where many other renowned South African musicians have been laid to rest, including Robbie Malinga and Madonza. The 37-year-old died after suffering a seizure. A tribute concert that will include artists like AKA, HHP, Quasta, Casper, DJ Fresh, DJ Dimples, and MS Cosmos will be held in his memory. In a new Forbes list, actress Scarlett Johansson is the highest paid actress in the world between June 1, 2017 to June 1, 2018, with a total earning of $40.5 million. Her earning increased from her role in Black Widow, Infinity War, Rough Night, and Ghost in the Shell. Actress Angelina Jolie takes the #2 spot with an earning of $28 million, and also Jennifer Aniston takes a third position at $19.5 million. That's a news roundup of events at this hour. For more news update, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also subscribe to our YouTube page for more news stories. That's at Plus TV Africa. We'll be back later with more stories making the headlines. Do join us again. My name is Felicity Ezeoike. Have a great day.